Welcome back to Dum Dum's 2099, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into a futuristic world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Grand Wizard Bukake, your host. Our system was victorious in the arena. Declan won over a mage at the auction, and with the help of Farthole Fartch, they killed Lady Etherium and identified AIMAZOON'S agents. What will happen when they locate Geffcinda Bee-Zos? And will Showsa prove to be a reliable friend or a dangerous enemy? Find out next on Doms and Dragons 2099.
Your assault on Geffcinda Bee-Zos and the Amazon Empire is nigh. After some careful planning, some investigation, and some rallying of allies, we are on the eve of the assault. The good news is that your investigations following the MFT auction have indeed been able to track the Amazon executives you saw, and all reports that Tony and his crew, as well as the twists, have been able to pull. Seem to suggest that for some reason, all of these executives have been making a number of unscheduled visits to a kind of obscure Amazon processing facility built in the lost city of the Plantiers. As you know, the lost city of the Plantiers is kind of a wasteland that was left in the wake of the disappearance of the powerful Plantier clan ages ago, back in the age of magic. As we, the audience, know, they escaped into Dumfaerun, where they set up shop. But for the people of 2099, it almost stands as like a Roanoke colony mystery, where just one day there was like a full civilization, and the next day it was an abandoned nation. As we will also know from Dumfaerun, the Plantiers run everything with magic, so a lot of their buildings, architecture, everything else, have almost taken on the quality of Mayan ruins. It is, after all, sort of a little bit northwest of Kult, so a bit more of that architecture. But there's a lot of, similar to modern Mayan or Aztec ruins, there's a lot of things that were clearly incredibly powerful, incredibly intelligent, incredibly functional, that have ceased to function without their creators' steady hands, and the knowledge of what made them work is lost. In our case, of course, we know that magic is what made them work, but for, again, 2099, there's just a lot of like stonework and weird things. It's got a proper broken dungeon quality. As a result, many industrial facilities have taken root there. There's certainly more than enough space to build, and none has taken more advantage of this than Amazon, who's built a small, almost colony of fulfillment centers. These weren't on your hit list because they are relatively unremarkable. They are a mid-level cog in a tremendously powerful machine, and certainly well below the interests of Bee-Zos himself. What with the moon laser and the private island fortress and all, a random processing facility in the middle of nowhere didn't exactly strike you as a worthy target. However, all of these executives, as well as several others now that a watch has been set up, have been making trips to and from this facility almost daily, in a variety of long stretch limos, everything else. Also worth noting, they are flying to these locations in air vehicles. So clearly, as you saw from the MFT auction, mages are in play. As a result, the Bourbon Sherbet dispatched a couple of his folks out there. You've been in fairly scattered contact with Bourbon. He's very busy rallying the mages and kind of carrying on Alan's request to lead the mages by a code. She was very clear about that before she took the portal home. So he's doing his best to do that. After all, man's got to have a code. And he's in sporadic contact, but he is aware of your mission. He's pledged his support to all three of you, or to both of you, Master Xanthuses, Master Xanthi. He wants to make sure that he's got your back. So he has dispatched a team that I think is probably led by Showsa to go investigate exactly what's going on at this facility. So you're waiting currently at your base of operations in Neo Baldur's Gate. Where do you think you guys ultimately set up? What's a good hidey hole for you in Neo Baldur's Gate? We talked about you having established yourselves there, but what kind of place do you think you have?
I had an idea. I don't know about you, Ryan.
Oh, go for it.
I was thinking old subway station, like one that is like not used but can still connect to what would be the official metro line that's running, I guess, on electricity again instead of quantum energy. Benefits are that like it gives us a series of like entry points all over the city and stuff like that through like access hatches and things like that. And it's if someone's coming after us, they've got to navigate a nest of tunnels, like just an absolute rat's nest of dead end tunnels or other things like that, because New Baldur's Gate here has been built on kind of over and over and over again, right? Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I am 10,000% up for Ninja Turtles meets Ray Stevenson's The Punisher and Punisher Warzone style
Sweet.
home base.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's kind of
please.
what I was thinking. Yeah, yeah. Especially with like large forces coming after us, they have to get into tight tunnels where I can cut them up easy and you can just shoot down a tunnel. Like really, really helps both of us. So I think Honor System and Declan both like that for a defensive positioning in a home base.
Okay, great. So you've taken residence in Minsk Station.
Okay.
That's MINSC. MINSC. So Minsk Station. It's notable for having a statue of kind of a large bald man out front who seems to have a small rodent in his hand.
Has he got the purple thing over his eye?
Well, I mean, it's like a metal statue, but you can see they do as they do in metal stuff where like any face tattoos are like carved in.
Yeah.
But and then holding just a massive laser cannon cocked on his hip. So it seemed appropriate. Has weapons, is kind of old, and is a disused station. As you say, things have been built upon, and increasingly. As the verticality of Neo Baldur's Gate took hold, the low-level trains didn't reach the parts of the city that people really wanted to go to nearly as much, so they started building kind of like higher platforms, and the older stations became less and less useful to a point where many of them were discontinued. Gives you excellent access throughout Neo Baldur's Gate. Often you have to crack open some like boarded over holes and things, but yeah, also as a longtime Deus Ex player, like hiding in a subway station, using it to get around without people seeing, love it. Chef's kiss. So you're waiting at Minsk Station, and you're awaiting word from Showsa and the mages. You know that this is your target. You just kind of need to know what you're up against. Again, in terms of allies, you've chosen to ally yourself with the Twists and with the Escrow. They're all standing by kind of on your word. Unfortunately, the Twists are a bit of a wild card because they can't stop taking work during all of this. So they're on side. They're going to help as best they can, but they also aren't like, you don't know who you'll get because they can't just keep everyone like on standby in case something exciting happens.
Right.
And the other allied group, as I mentioned, that you have is whatever the hell Bourbon Sherbet's been up to in the woods. Is there anything, any final preparations you want to do before you get the lay of the land on this fulfillment center situation? And we can also say that this has been over the past few days because it's taken a few days to get all this shit sorted.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I was going to say, so brain wipe, that's got to fucking happen in case he gets taken alive over the course of this. So that's on Declan's to-do list, and knowing that we got Tony around, thumbs up to that.
Yeah.
We probably, I feel like Declan would want to back channel to House Duerden to just let them know what's up. They show up, they don't show up to them, but like we're doing an assault. Something's happening at this date. Because they're honestly a pretty good backup plan, even if we all get fucking murdered, which is just like House Duerden knows, like, here's a pamphlet for when the world fucking ends from the Zeus cannon bastards.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just like tooling up, keeping his guns ready, trying to collect weapons where they can, like probably going out and just ripping off random like Synergy Inc. people as they stumble home from bars to like get more guns to just arm whoever's coming to help.
Sure.
And
and honor system, anything you'd want to do?
Knowing that mages are on contract for something, I think we would probably be looking at some sort of mage countermeasure. The thing that comes to mind is those collars that were put to very effective use in Dumb Faerun. But I don't know if that's a thing here that like negate people's magic. I don't know if we'd be able to research or source anti-mage kind of weapons or anything like that.
You would have encountered those in the stack in future past as well.
Yeah.
The catch is, since all knowledge of mages was kind of snuffed, I don't know that you'd actually be able to find, like, this would be pretty much like House Typhus, like hard. Well, if someone made them.
If the research is this shit is ultra rare and like super hard to come by and you can't get it, then that's what the research yields. And we just know that going in. We're like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the situation. But I will say what I can offer you is like that's the direction you can have given Bourbon Sherbert, which is like we know we're up against mages, rather than like we need you to play like an offense. We need you to be like throw all the offensive magic you have around. It could be like counter the mages as best you can is, I think, a perfectly reasonable use for them, which is like this is the question mark we don't know how to deal with. Can you deal with that? And that is something that they can be exploring, if that makes sense.
That works for me, as long as Declan wouldn't want to assign Bourbon to something else.
I think that would make sense to Declan, because if the idea is that us, the Twists, and the Escrow are the like assault forces, and then our mages just counterbalance their mages, so it's a straight fight, that would sound good to Declan on the scale of things.
All right, yeah.
Great. Okay, so we'll reassign that. Yeah, Declan, you get your message through back channels to House Duerden. What your the Twists have been able to tell you about House Duerden is they have set up active and aggressive shop in the Nairfrost crater, and seem to be in the process of building a new city there. It's early days, but with all of the displaced drow from the as you recall, like the Underdark was strip mined and doesn't really exist here. They are currently in the process of building what they've tentatively dubbed, but invariably will become the name, the Above Dark, a reconstruction of Menzoberranzan made of like the fallen city. So it's somewhere between Menzoberranzan, as we saw it when we went there in Dum Dums, and like Midgar in Final Fantasy VII, where it's just like a weird city made of garbage built on levels above more garbage. But particularly with the Driders being able to mechanically skitter everywhere with supplies and things, like they're building this thing at a rapid rate. And of course, there's no one there to stop them because there's no anything right now.
Honestly, that they probably are the faction that make the most sense to Declan currently, and he would not have an objection to like, we're building a home for displaced people in the ruin of a city. He'd be like, all right, we found some fucking good ones over there.
Yeah.
They just gotta scratch that word house out of the title, and I'll be on that team for a bit.
So there's no word back, but your message has been delivered.
Great.
So in terms of Tony and the brainwipe, I think it's safe to say that Tony probably set up shop here in Neo Baldur's Gate as well. Waterdeep is a little too, even post the fall of Conglomerata, I feel like any regulators who lived there likely just became like the city police. It's a huge metropolis, so very easy to just go from being a national force to a regional one. So not great for criminals. And there's more, even though they're still dealing with all the quantum issues, there's more business as usual in Waterdeep right now than there is almost anywhere else. So terrible place for Chainsaw Linetti to tuck in. So he's tucked in here. He's in rough shape. He's very much in like a Rise of Skywalker Palpatine slash Emperor on his Golden Throne scenario, where like there's not a lot of them left from the Nairfrost strike, but being a technically minded guy, he's almost got a bit of this is like the third metaphor, but bear with me. Almost the Mojo from the X-Men thing going, where it's just like he's torso and one arm, and then he's on that like Palpatine gimbaled arm that kind of moves him around a space. He's had to go into business with he's had to go to work for a former rival. It's the only way that he could kind of get what he needed after he was carted here. So he's working closely with Drungar Grameen, who is known as like Chainsaw. You at least knew, like I think you knew him pre-war, right? You guys grew up together, I think. So he's shady, but he's your kind of shady. Drungar Grameen is on the wrong side of that. In terms of like black market bioaugmentation, all that sort of stuff. He gets into the grosser side of that, and is definitely less savory. But apparently quite accomplished. But definitely like, you know, those like the bad neighborhoods you go to in Blade Runner to get like a bucket full of eyes. It's this guy. So you make your way to Drungar's shop. He is located in the back of a sort of like mid-range electronics store. It is a little bit like, I mean, I've got a bunch of these places up near me right now where they're like a post office that's selling like boxed PC software and like disc 6 of Lost season 2.
Yeah.
And like they deliver, like you can pick up packages there. No one really knows why they're there, and they're absolutely
you can get any key cut there.
Yeah, any key. We do fobs, we do everything, and then it's just a bunch of like cables from technology that doesn't exist anymore. It's that kind of joint where it's very.
I'm just picturing Prop Joe's shop from The Wire.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, yes, very much so. So yeah, it's that kind of joint, but. Drungar's reputation, both as someone that like you don't go to Drungar unless you really need him, but when you really need him, he's your guy. Honestly, he's who you probably would have gone to for your chest if you had been near Neo Baldur's Gate. So everyone kind of leaves him alone. In much the same way as happens in The Wire. Just kind of like we all collectively recognize you're a valuable sort of pivot point for the whole underworld here. We don't mess with you. Unless we're Marlowe. So you arrive there, Declan, and do you bring honor system, or is this a thing you got to do alone?
He'd bring honor system because there has to be a certain amount of data not being available to Linetti. Because frankly, if he gives Linetti all of his memories, Linetti's a data addict who trades in information. So he kind of needs Linetti to do the surgery and honor system to deal with the actual info in his brain. Otherwise, he's broadcasting this to the world instead of hiding it.
Gotcha. Also, honor system, you've been fully patched up between now and then. Yeah. You now do have some additional like bits that have been added from the destroyed Blackhawk unit, as well as, you know, the chop shops that you had to visit to get rebuilt. So still, I think in the form you described, but you've got a little bit of extra off-market bits on you now around the damaged shoulder. Okay. I think specifically. You arrive at Drungar's. It is called Radio Shack, an entirely made up, unique fantasy store for anyone born post 2000.
They can't sue us anymore.
Actually, no, I'm gonna put my own spin. It's Radio Shark, and the sign is. Like just a full like left shark from that Katy Perry halftime show, but with like headphones on and like little like radio antenna coming up from them.
Oh, I love
that. Their slogan is radios and loan sharking.
Yeah, either way, we'll get you. You arrive at Radio Shark and coming in through the front door. It's the kind of place that has cameras everywhere, despite how shitty all of the stuff on the shelves is. But you start to make your way in. You see like a Palm Pal, the at this point almost Neolithic precursor to the iPal. It's got a little stylus and golden back with just like that floating black text. And it follows you with Tamagotchi eyes as you walk past it. You think you hear it say, "Please buy, please buy." But the speaker is kind of shitty, so you don't fully hear. You make your way to the counter. Behind the counter is another data addict. Ryan Declan knows how to spot these folks pretty easily now. This is a drow. And he looks like shit. You can imagine with the internet down, data addicts are having a bad fucking time. And he is sitting there looking at an encyclopedia, an honest to God paper encyclopedia. And he's just poring over it, muttering to himself as you approach. He's also wearing a completely incongruous shark apron. With the slogan, and you can tell it's got like a money belt and a bunch of radio parts, just in case anyone really wants to cash in on that name.
Greetings. We're here looking for Linetti.
Oh, Linetti. That's letter L. And he flips to L, and he says, "Light bringer. What the hell is a light bringer?" And then just looks up at you. He's like, "Can you tell me what kind of weapon a light bringer is?"
Lightbringer.
It says also see moon.
Sounds like a flashlight.
There we go. It's a big old
flashlight. I'll check F. F. Good.
Oh, no. Linetti's a person. He works here apparently. He's a
person.
Yeah, he came from
Linetti.
Nearfrost.
Tony Linetti.
He won't be in here then. Will he? He just won't be in here because someone wrote all of this stuff down and doesn't update it. It's all just, and he like grabs a pen and he just writes Linetti. He says, I'll find him for you, but you need to tell me who he is so I can add him. I need to add him to my internet.
Honor System looks at Declan like, are we wasting our time here?
Declan shrugs and is just like, what is Honor System's faceplate display for this to be a silent exchange?
We, I think, have been together so long that there is nothing on the faceplate. You just know.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
He just looks over, Declan shrugs, looks back, and is like, I really need to speak with Linetti. Otherwise, I'm going to have to find somebody else, and then I won't pay you nothing.
I will find your Mr. Linetti. I need to add him to this or he can't exist. Everything that exists is captured somewhere on the net, and this is the net now. So what is Chainsaw Linetti? He's a person, and he writes in Tony. Honestly, his handwriting is impeccable for someone who's in mad withdrawal. What I need 3 facts about Tony the Chainsaw Linetti so that I will know.
He's a person. He's an information addict, and right now he's working for Drungar.
Oh, you mean Tony?
Yeah. That's who I mean.
Yeah, I can introduce you to Tony. Sure thing. But that's good. I should have put him in here. That's smart. You're very smart. I'm gonna add you when you come back out. So stay tuned. But I feel like I owe you one now because you've helped me. You've helped the net. You've helped everyone. You've helped everyone today. And he just reads the passage 2 or 3 times to himself, nods, and says, "Okay. You'll have to go through Drengar, right?"
Well, I mean, I didn't know that, but now I do, so I guess I'd like to speak to Drengar.
All right, well, I'll show you to both of them. Tony, he's indebted. He's indebted, and as you know, here at Radio Shark, we take debts very seriously. And he points at the button on his shirt that says it has a little shark bite out of the corner. It says we take debts very seriously, and he leads you back. The shop opens up into sort of a massive kind of like Matrix where they plug everyone in bay. So there's kind of like a massive central big electrical generator running. And you can see Chainsaw Linetti, what's left of him, kind of moving about on this gimbaled arm that's kind of moving him between schematics, and you see that similar to what Ooze out front was doing. He's annotating stuff by hand, and he looks awful. Like like when John Goodman plays like a character who's living rough, where it seems like his whole face sags and just like, you look at him and you see just the wariness of ages. It's kind of that situation. He's been unplugged for a while now, and though he hasn't slipped into kind of the sort of obsessive detail mindedness of Ooze out front, he's definitely not doing great. But you can see he's like updating schematics by hand and kind of doing old circuit diagrams and that sort of thing. And sitting kind of under this massive generator in front of an old computer that is powered electrically, you see Drungar Grameen. Drungar is he's a dragonborn who just is like, which is a rarity here in 2099. And he also kind of looks like a petrified tree, like just real scraggly face. Skin is cracked and broken. Not like, in a fleshy, oozy way, just in like a too much time in the sun kind of way. And the left side of his body is just a complex series of burns. He wears a sort of a jumpsuit tied at the waist. And has augmentations kind of all over the place. He honestly looks a little bit like what you looked like when you went into the auction with your like chest plate. Like clearly someone who's kind of been rebuilt from the bottom up. And as you come in, he's got 2 organic eyes and a third mechanical eye in the center of his forehead. He just turns and he says, "I don't know you. And I don't much care for people I don't know."
Well, if it makes you feel
a Radio Shark.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, most people who know me don't like me either. So my name's Declan, and I need to borrow the chainsaw for a fucking brain job.
And his organic eyes turn to chainsaw while his mechanical eye stays on you. And he just says, "Is this true, puppet?" And chainsaw like awkwardly shifts. He does look a little bit like a hand puppet on a weird mechanical arm, because when it moves, like his whole body kind of lurches uncomfortably. So it turns around and he sees you, and there's a legitimate spark of joy in his eyes, which is odd because that's not really your relationship. But he just says in a now like one of those like robo synth voices, just says, "Ah, yes, Declan McCready, one of my oldest acquaintances. It is good to see you alive. You require brain services? How did your friend fare?" And then his eyes kind of dart left and right. He says, "Did she ask about me?"
Yes, she's a big old fan of yours, as she was of everyone. She's doing good. She's back home. Thumbs up all around. But yeah, I need you to do stuff with the brain.
Wait, when you say back home, do you mean somewhere I can send mail? Perhaps fan mail or flowers? And like Drungar just starts laughing into his fist. Like, this is the saddest thing he's ever seen, but he's a sociopath, so that's great for him.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, we might be going somewhere where that might be possible. We're teamed up with some mages and shit, so all good.
Oh, good. I thought I missed my chance with her.
Not yet.
That is good.
Yes.
That is great. That is the best news I have heard in some time. That is the only news I have heard in some time. It is good to see you, Declan. And then he turns and he says, "Master, can I assist my oldest acquaintance with his brain work?" And Drungar turns, and like honestly, the shark motif is actually pretty accurate for this guy when he grins. Just like teeth at all angles, clearly have been shattered and regrown. Some are metallic. You have the distinct shine of a broken CD that seems to be lodged in his jaw and kind of cracked into a tooth shape. And he says, "Well, that depends, Pat. What can these people do for old Grameen?" So, Ryan, I'm going to need a check from you, please, to see if you can convince Drungar of your worth. What's your play here? What are you rolling? You can go with deception. You can go with intimidation, persuasion. If you have something you think is of value to him, you can barter. You can roll a gambling check if you feel so inclined. What's your play here? You can also, I will say, use a streetwise if you want to get a sense of what this guy is and what he's about.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think he'll make a play for a hint that he might be able to drop, and then maybe we can play it as a streetwise because he's going to guess what this guy might be into. You know what I might be able to trade for you now is a piece of information about the whole MFT auction market that just, shall we say, the bottom fell out of yesterday. So there's a bit of a power vacuum, and as you know, power abhors a vacuum and it loves people with large teeth. So it might be of interest to you.
Go ahead and roll your check, please.
That is a 9.
9. He gestures broadly around the room and says, "Tell me, meatbag, do you see any mages here?"
Well, I mean, no. That could have been something that could change. All right, system, you're up.
What is it that you value?
And he does, like, he looks you up and down in almost a like checking you out way. Because again, at this point, the Ronin droids never really made it to market. They were supposed to. They were on their way out when the city got blown up and most of them got destroyed. So he's never seen a robot like you before. Also, with all the modifications you've made, and the fact that you're like a sentient, free-willed robot, there's a lot going on that is of interest to him. And he says, "Well, I do like interesting technology. I wouldn't have opened a Radio Shark franchise if I didn't. You seem different than the other robots I've seen. Tell you what, you let me run a scan, see how you work. I'm not going to tinker with anything. I'm not going to mess with you. I just want a copy so I can look through it and see what's going on here. So you let me run some diagnostics on you for my files. And sure, you can talk to my puppet for a bit."
Declan's going to look over at Honor System and just raise an eyebrow. And in that way that they've known each other a very long time, that's just the like, if you stab this guy, we'll just kill everyone in the building look. Just handing full diplomatic control over.
Yeah. I think on our private subdermal channel, Honor System says, "I don't think I have any problem with this person scanning me. However, I already have knowledge of Seamus, and so that would mean knowledge of Seamus being on file here, and I know that's not something you want."
Yeah, no. At the same time, it would mean technically you'd have given a version of yourself into ownership of another person, which I think is against your code. So this is a hard no on the scale of things.
So after, from his perspective, just a brief pause, Honor System kind of focuses on him once again and says, "What else do you value?"
And he grins and says, "Information is always welcome, though it must be backed by something other than broad statements." And he kind of looks at Declan with some degree of disdain. "My street sharks always appreciate the inside scoop about what's up. That said, for the use of my puppet, I'm going to need something special." And he kind of looks at Frederick and he looks at Legion and he says, "If you won't give me the diagnostics, one of your weapons would do fine."
I think immediately, like, Honor System is ready to answer, like, "We will not part with our weapons."
"Then I will not part with my puppet." And with that, he flicks a hand up, and Tony flies at a rapid speed into the ceiling, and his head bursts like a grape.
Declan swings down his assault rifle that he has built out of the cannon he took off of the Blackhawk And he's just going to light this motherfucker up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll your attack.
Alrighty. Does this count as surprise? Do I have advantage? I feel like he might know this is coming. This feels like it's pretty straight up.
Yes. No, you're a man with a rifle whose friend he just killed.
That is a nat 20.
All right. So we can save rolling damage. You open up, and he grins broadly because the second you open fire, one of the energy shields that you remember from the fully functional, non kind of janky Ronin droids pops up. So that like bubble shield from the Phantom Menace around the droidica, and he just grins away. But it's the damnedest thing. When you run a robot fighting ring, you know that sometimes people are going to have shields. And so sometimes when you have a giant, kind of obsolete toy robot, you just coat those bullets in something that makes those shields less effective. So he's just grinning away as the bullets like start like boring. Like they're still like the first few are doing that like matrix drop off from when Neo holds out his hand, but then the ones behind are starting to bore through. And there's just a moment of him being like, but he was just a puppet before they rip through his chest. And again, made of metal, very powerful. It's got some good stats. But you rolled a nat 20, and you have a gun specifically built to melt robots. Your future clip won't be able to do this, but the one you still have that was in place from fighting honor system / strong winner certainly does. So bullets rip through his chest. He stumbles backward, doing that like being blown apart sunny dance from The Godfather, before kind of slamming into a rack full of tools. And then collapsing down with a brand new hole in his chest, just sort of quietly smoking away.
The barrel on Declan's rifle just smokes as it cycles down. To paint the picture, it was originally, I'm thinking if you said assault cannon on this thing, probably like one of those 3-barrel spinning chain gun style setups on the Blackhawk.
Sure.
Yeah, he stripped 2 of those barrels off, so now it's just one of those drum-fed, almost looks like a Tommy gun, but in a Borderlands meets Blade Runner style way. Does this guy have like a throne or something?
No, he's got like a gamer chair that is very well used and badly stained.
What do you mean then? That's his throne for sure.
Yeah, sorry, he does have a throne.
What are you talking about?
Great.
He's got a throne. On that note, if you're looking for a throne of your own, Secret Lab, if you use promo code, I can get some free chair cleaner. So hit me up.
Yeah, but so Declan, fuck, there you go. I got one, guys.
There's number 2.
Declan will gesture to honor system, say, bring in a guy from outside. And he's just going to kick the corpse over in front of the like gamer chair. And then he's going to sit on the gamer chair and wait for honor system to bring in. I can't read. I don't even think
his name is
fucking
Ooze. You didn't get it. His name is Oozling. So you bring in Ooze, and said, "Oh, good. So you're going to give me your names now." Oh,
hello, Ooze. My name is Declan McCready.
My name is Honor System.
Yes. And we now own this, I can't remember what the fuck it's called. Radio
Shark. We care about loans.
This is my franchise now. The Street Sharks are ours. And you need to put Chainsaw Linetti back together or you're going to die. And he's just going to point to Linetti the puppet.
As like brain leaks from the ceiling, says, "Okay." And he goes out and he gets his encyclopedia and he comes back. He picks up a roll of duct tape and he flips to anatomy. And he goes, "All right." And slowly but surely he starts packing bits back in and duct taping the head shut.
Chainsaw Linetti's head was meat and bone still?
Yes, it burst like a grape.
Right, okay.
He meant so little to Drongar that he just drove him into the ceiling and killed him. But Ooze is doing his best. He keeps poking bits back in as they slurp out. And
Declan's gonna stop vocalizing honestly and be like, I don't think this is gonna fucking work.
No.
And then to your surprise, on your sub-vocalization system, you hear, "Don't worry, I had a backup plan. Ha 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 ha. Who's the puppet now, bitch? Who's the puppet now? And you get a ping from the Palm Pal out in the main room that just says, "I made a backup. Ha 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 ha. Please buy me."
The trick here is, I made a backup. Ha 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 ha. Could be our friend, or it could be the villain who killed our friend that we murdered. Can I pick up this Palm Pilot thing and like type into it?
Sure.
Like as like a means of communication and say.
You could also write with the stylus, but you have to link all the letters, otherwise it won't be able to read it.
Yeah, no, because then it's just going to say "eat up Martha."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I will enter into it. Is this Linetti?
Yes, this is Linetti. I was worried that eventually he would kill me, but my options were limited. I could not store all of my mind. There were only a small micro SD card, but I got most of it. Ha 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 ha. Alive.
Okay, then I'll pick up the Palm Pilot. And if homie had a gamer chair, I'm assuming there's some sort of sweet rig that he's got set up over there too.
You best believe there
lights
is.
and like a fucking cooling system and all
But
that
it's
shit.
completely dead because it ran on quantum.
Oh.
He does have an old computer though. He's got like a proper like CRT old fucking like tower that he was working off of.
Can we jury rig that with the puppet setup that still clearly worked and had power? Because Declan is both good at hacking and robotics. So if there was a way to
give me two of those checks, please, to see what you're able to rig up.
Hacking is a 16, and robotics is a 13.
Okay, so I'm gonna say
we're gonna Dr. Zola this shit.
Yeah, I think Ryan, what's your intent with this? You want to Dr. Zola it? Like stick the Palm Pal on the gimbaled arm.
Put that on the gimbaled arm. If we can give him access to the old computer so he has some control.
That you can definitely do.
Yeah, or if there's no way, if he's smart enough with this test to be like, well, this is all going to be fucking dog shit, then it's like, fuck, we're going to have to find a robot to plug this asshole into.
No. I think, so you plug him into the central computer. The computer does have big, thick cables running out of it to everything. I think if your mechanics role had been higher, or robotics role rather had been higher, you could have like Dr. Zola'd it. Instead, you're able to just like plug it in using like one of those old USB cords that is always around and multiplies secretly when you're not looking. You're like, I need a new one. Nope, just a bunch of the old ones. So you manage to plug him in, and he jerks the gimbaled arm around, and with some effort, like raises the corpse arm, as well as some of the mechanical arms. So you get the sense he can use the gimbaled body now. Ooze is like, I did it! As this body starts to move around. The danger is, of course, Declan, you want this thing to do brain surgery on you. So
Declan has rapidly adapted his brain surgery idea to the machine telling Honor System how to do it, because Honor System has tremendous precision with blades and other things. So he can take instructions that are very literal, and Linetti is a tremendously literal person.
Okay. So Honor System. I'm gonna need, I think, probably a sleight of hand.
I'm pretty good at sleight of hand.
Yeah, so let's go sleight of hand, I think, over medicine, because you're not actually trying to you're just following instructions. Yeah. Ooze helps you prep the room. Luckily, like, they had to build Linetti into this gimbaled arm anyway, so all the tools are there. And Declan, basically, they're going to try and extend your neural net further into your brain and then hack that in order to erase the memory you're after. Honor System, you'll be doing the actual physical work. Ooze will be assisting you, and Chainsaw Linetti will be explaining. He complains the whole time about not being able to do this, because it's literally like like a surgeon like looking through a paper tube and then yelling instructions and then looking back through the tube to see like what you're doing and how well it's going. But it's better than nothing. So honor system. Go ahead, and Ryan, I'm gonna need from you a fortitude save.
And just so I have the correct context, are we erasing this memory, or are we removing it so that it can be put back later?
I think it would be functionally the same, because the idea was that you'd be the backup with all the information, and Declan would have none. So,
okay, functionally the same. Okay.
So I think maybe what we'll say then is we can treat this as a data transfer kind of situation, where like basically you'll be 2 file folders, and we'll just see all the documents fly over. But it's on like a Windows 95 computer, so like they're going to be really kind of janky, and there's going to be a little spinning hourglass.
Paper airplane is going.
There are 5 minutes remaining. There are 3 days and 46 seconds remaining. There, yes.
Hey, it looks like you're trying to erase all memories of your son. Can I help with that? No, Clippy, get the fuck out of here. Clippy. All right, cool. So let's see how that goes.
So my sleight of hand was a 15 total.
And my fortitude save was a 19.
19? Okay. So you're good on both fronts. The nice thing is, like, Declan, you're already kind of rigged for this sort of stuff. You have a mechanical eye. Like, there's a bunch of ways to get around this. It's not like with Alan, where it was literally we need to go up through your nose and implant something deep into your brain. So between everyone, the surgery actually goes remarkably well. Honor system, you're flooded with memories, and I think also the regrets, something that you didn't necessarily know that Declan was carrying around, because how could you? These are completely foreign feelings. It's like when Data first gets emotions on Star Trek, and he's like, what? There's just a lot there that you weren't privy to previously. What kind of effect do you think that has on Honor System, if any?
I think his voice changes again.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
So the data transfer is complete. Declan, you wake up. Ooze looks like shit, but is also thrilled because he's been able to observe new processes and has learned things. So as a data addict, this is actually pretty great. The Palm Pal is like shooting little fireworks on its digital display, but they're really just like black lines that explode into other black lines.
Yeah.
It's using all of his battery to do it, but it's worth it. So Declan, you awake oddly light. You still feel the guilt and loss of your unit, but you know what? Like, you took down the Conglomerata, you killed a bunch of CEOs, and you're closing in on Jeff Bezos. Everything seems pretty rad.
I am living my fucking best life. Okay, here's the question: System and/or Linetti. Ooze.
Yeah, what's up?
Over here, as you will. The street sharks, are they organized enough that we can use them in an assault on a corporate stronghold? And if not, Linetti, can you run them from inside that computer with Ooze here, so we can just leave you your own little empire?
Yes, that sounds more appropriate. They are mostly loan sharks. ... Get it? Because of the loans. So we can provide resources, and perhaps resources of a financial nature, and perhaps resources of a technical nature or a weapon nature. Resources for days, but they will be useless in a fight unless you are going up against desperate people who desperately needed credits and turned to bad people to get them. In which case, we can send the street sharks and they will rough them up.
All right, so we'll come back to you for supplies, but we'll leave you your own little criminal empire. Just don't turn into a house or go corporate or some fucking shit.
Ugh, corporate? No, my only goal is more data. More data. I would also say revenge on Drungar, but LOL.
You might want to make sure he didn't back himself up as well.
Oh shit, I did not consider that. I must go now. And you see, like, just those green lines start scanning across the computer as he begins to work his way through it. Honestly, based on what you've learned, you suspect that the odds of Drungar backing himself up on this kind of rig are so low. He probably does on the sexy gaming computer, but it's not plugged into anything anymore. So he'll just stay forever trapped in a prison of his own making. But Ooze says, thank you both. This is super helpful. Honestly, the puppet thing was really spooky, and I hated it. But I can definitely run the front desk. Listen, I guess my new manager said he could help hook you up with stuff. Do you need weapons or anything? Grenades? I think we have some of those.
Fabulous. We'll take the whole arsenal, and we may be calling for vehicles later. Consider us like one of those corporate, entities that's joined you, only we're going to strip mine you for parts because we need them for a war.
Okay, that's fine. Honestly, here at Radio Shark, we always knew a corporate raider would come and destroy us.
Ugh, I don't like being a corporate raider. Let's call ourselves freedom fighters, like all justified people have in the entire history of this world.
Yeah, great. We'll just help your terrorist maneuvers. That's fine. Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Well, here's
That
a box
works
of
for us.
grenades. Have yourself a sharky day.
We're a
And
not-for-profit terrorist organization.
It's a terrorist commune, if you will. Everyone gets equal amount of guns.
All right, so you make your way back to Minsk Station, and
Okay, just on the way, Tom, because I just want to deal with one thing that would exist in the world. System,
Yeah.
what did we do to you back in there? Because there's kind of this point I can't remember, and now you talk different.
What do you mean I talk different?
You don't sound the same. You sound more people-y. Remember how you used to sound full?
This is how I've always spoken. I've never. You've mentioned this before. I have always had the same vocal pattern, the same way I speak. This is just how my previous unit and the Ronin unit's vocalizers work.
Oh my
It
God.
sounds exactly the same to me.
Are you getting frustrated with me right now?
What? No, I don't get frustrated. What?
It is terrifying for Declan to hear a robot's speakers do an exhausted inhale.
Yeah.
From a creature that does not breathe.
Yeah, and then just Honor Systems faceplate starts flashing like a strobe. Just what is? Hold on a second. And then this flashing stops, and he looks back at you. He's like, "I'm fine. I don't know what that was. It's fine."
I mean, I could tell you what it was. You're feeling things. Whatever the fuck we did to you in there.
Well, I can't tell you what we did because you asked me not to, which you won't remember, or you might because it's not directly related to what we took out.
I mean,
but we took it out because you really didn't want it falling into enemy hands.
Well, I mean, okay, I was going to say that doesn't sound like me until that last bit, and then that definitely does sound like me. So
Yes,
I'm assuming...
I can delete it. You can't. So I've got it for now.
Okay, good. And I remembered, if you get captured, I got 2 minutes to save you before you give it up, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, we can do this. I'm a little worried about you having feelings, but who knows? Maybe you'll get even more fun out of killing, which could be nice for you.
Maybe. We'll find out the next time I kill someone.
Okay, we got to go back and just look at a series of images on a screen and see if anything makes you happy. I want to know what fucking happens.
Declan, and Honor System goes to pinch the bridge of a non-existent nose. And then it's like, what am I doing with my hand right now? We don't have time for this. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for that. We have a goddamn revolution to plan.
Oh, yeah, that'll be nice. Okay, we can do that. I will just say abstractly, I'm loving a world where Declan is not as brooding. It's fucking miserable now.
Well,
it's very
I took your
sunshine.
brain, so yeah.
Yeah. As you kind of have this conversation, you make your way back to Mink Station, and you're happy to find that Showsa is back. Sublime is there as well. Carmine has showed up. And they've actually been having a little council of war without you. But as is the way when proper villains get together, they've actually put together a pretty solid plan. It would seem that what Showsa and some of the Bourbon Sherbet's mages have determined is Bee-Zos has actually been using magic to conceal a massive facility beyond the fulfillment center. They seem to have tapped into the old Plantier magic with some of their MFTs, and as a result have been developing sort of a massive platform and some kind of vehicle that is built on kind of a massive superstructure and pointed toward the sky. They've been packing mages into this thing like crazy, and apparently whatever's going to go down is going down like tomorrow. So the good news is that despite everything that's happened in the world, AIMAZOON has one of the best return policies that anyone has ever found. And as a result, Carmine, having some of his displaced sort of like mid-level law types, has looked through all the fine print, and you can return almost anything. So his squads have been out there just getting the biggest fucking things they can find, breaking them, getting the boxes, and have basically come up with a Trojan horse scheme.
Shipping themselves back? That's really awesome.
To return yourself to this facility for a full refund or store credit. Now, the facility itself, obviously, to get beyond it, you'll have to fight your way through. But at the very least, this will get you on site in the storage facilities. You've got your allies, you've got your weapons, your timeline is rapidly burning down. But you've got everything you need to make your final assault, with the exception of Bourbon Sherbert's mages. And as if on cue, Bourbon Sherbert in his like thin skeletal, like I'm very much thinking the battle droids from the Star Wars prequels. So just like super skinny, like discount clothes hanger robots, wearing his like robe with his improvised staff. Enters with two figures over his left and right shoulder, and you can hear like a bunch of like talking and like the occasional magic missile going off outside, kind of into the disused tunnel. And it would seem the mages have arrived to offer their assistance. Bourbon Sherbert kind of looks to both of you and says, "Well, apparently now I am Bourbon Sherbert, Archmage, and Revolutionary Rupert, and I have brought my most stalwart allies. I would like you to meet Quinny and Butthole. Let's kick some ass." And that's where we'll leave it for now.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons 2099 features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra. The system we're playing is Carbon 2185, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are Core Collapse and Sanctuary of the Sky Gods by Nathaniel Yaverne, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Now I'm off to do future things before we return for the next episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons 2099. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: the Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Sammy Boy, Orion Birchfield, Scott Garland, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Roman Brown, Shulzari, Christian Mendez, Spot Allen, Flynn1138, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.